Hi, everybody. Welcome to Fridays with Sue and Steph. And last week, Sue and Steph didn't have Steph, and next week, Sue and Steph isn't going to have Sue. So here we are together. If you like us both together, then today's your day.
That's right.
So our topic today, and we are really hoping that people will join in. Our topic for today is what are we watching and what are we reading? And that's been an ongoing conversation for the year and a half because what have we done? We have watched TV and tried to read books. Reading books, I think, was a little more challenging than watching TV. Wouldn't you agree?
Sure. I was sitting here trying to remember, what I have read. Yeah.
Yeah. Also, maybe we should add podcasts because it's been competing.
Yes.
Now that the weather's good and we're out,
I love that. Okay,
that's a good one too.
Yeah.
So I'm going to jot down mine for a second, but I have two shows that we're watching right now, and I have a bunch of books that I've read that I thought were recommending worthy.
Okay.
So I'll start with the book that I just read for book club, which was called The Office of Historical Corrections. And it was short stories and a novella. And the reason I bring it up is I did love the book and I loved reading it, but also it was one of the longest conversations we've had at book club in a really long time. So I would say great book club discussion about it and just a really interesting book to read.
Say the title one more time.
It is The Office of Historical Corrections.
Okay.
And I don't think there's any spoiler alert, but I would have liked to know before that they don't connect, at least in no way that we could discern. I always have a hard time with short stories because like Olive Kitteridge, there was another book that, I think it was She Woman, what's the title of the book? She Woman Other, something like that. And, you're kind of getting a sense too far in that they're all connecting. And then I'm like, oh God, I want to start over now. I wish I'd known that.
Yes.
Right. So I'm freeing
what I know now. Yeah.
Yeah. So I always think those books would be great with like a little index, like telling you the connection. But I think it's part of the writer's mystery is to leave it for us. She, Women, Other is the name of this other book that I thought was. It's really interesting. There's like no punctuation, no capital letters.
In the comments, your two titles, or in
the. Yeah. Well, we're going to recommend a lot more. So what are you reading?
So I am reading, I actually just picked it up because I couldn't remember the name of it. Well, I'm reading two things. So, because I usually have a fiction and a nonfiction, which also equates to me reading nothing and falling on my face at night and not, but okay. So I'm reading Untamed, Glennon Doyle. It's okay. I don't have anything great to say about it. And then I'm reading The Water Dancer by Ta-Nehisi Coates. Did you read that?
Well, I had two people in my family read it and say, both those books say just kind of like, okay, but I am a massive Ta-Nehisi. Oh, you do?
I do.
My family didn't like it, but I am like an obsessed Ta-Nehisi Coates fan.
I know you are.
But I like his, love his essay writing, and I loved Between the World and Me. I actually read it once and listened to it. He narrates it. And I felt like I was having two entirely different experiences, reading it and listening to it. But yeah, those are, I think he's amazing, but the fiction didn't draw my family in.
It's interesting. He's a beautiful writer, and it's very mystical, I guess is the word I would use. Like there's like a spirituality in it, and I think mysticism would be the word I would use. So it kind of makes the hair on my arm stand up a little, like when I read it. So he does a really good job of that. So yeah, those are the ones I'm reading. And I read the last book I read in its entirety was The Last Mrs. Parrish. Do you know what I'm talking about? I think that's the name. I'm going to look it up as we're chatting, but I think that's the name, which I really liked. It is Mrs. Parrish. Yeah, I think that's it. Yes, The Last Mrs. Parrish. And it's funny. it was okay at the beginning and it got better as it went on. And it really took a turn I did not see coming. So I like that. Like that was really clever is what I'll say.
All right. Well, what are you reading? Put it in the chat for us, guys. We'd love to hear what you're reading. Let's move on to what are we watching?
We just started. We're probably the last ones on the planet. We just started Steisel. That.
Yeah.
We've watched one episode, so I can't really say, but I'm intrigued. I want to watch more. And I don't remember what our last show was before it. Oh, Jody recommended it. Total. Oh my God, he's a magician. Lupin.
Oh yeah, that was really good. that was
really,
really good. Lupin. Yeah. It's subtitled, guys. If you want to watch it, you just can't multitask, which is a little frustrating. We have turned off many a good series because we need to multitask while we're watching TV. Yeah. But our current shows are very easy to multitask.
Oh, what are you watching?
Forgettable. We are watching The Nanny. And it is so funny. Now, there are a few seasons that are much less funny.
This is like the old The Nanny.
Yeah. Oh. Fran Drescher.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Some of them, like the first season, it didn't matter whether I walked in the middle of this episode, I was cracking up. Okay. There's a few seasons that in my family, the discussion is, oh, was there a new director? There's all these kind of behind the scenes conversations that I would never know to have. So I find that a little interesting. But that's really, really light and funny if you want just, if you want to multitask, because you could definitely do it with that. And then the other one we're watching is also just entertainment, and it's called Kim's Convenience.
Say one more time.
Kim's Convenience.
Kim's Convenience. Okay.
Yeah, really good. Okay, so what podcast are you listening to?
Last night I was listening to Satellite Sisters. So always catching up on those.
Plug for Leanne Dolan. We had her on our podcast. Yeah. Your team with Sue and Steph. And we were on her podcast, which was a big thrill.
Also true. And wait, I was listening to something right before it. I always listen to How I Built This. So that's kind of a standard one, but I had something else. Oh my goodness. I'm going to have to look. Catch us up and I'll grab mine. Tell us what your
So I have kind of been obsessed with Kelly Corrigan Wonders. I really love her guests and I love their conversation. It's really just a conversation between two super smart people. Yeah. So I love that. And I love Dax Shepard and don't love Dax Shepard, but my guess is that most of the people that listen to his podcast probably have a reaction because he's just out there. Like he swears way too much for me. And I love to swear, but like, it is just part of the conversation. He's also like happily inappropriate. And I would say,
or you don't like, what are you saying?
No, happily from his intentionally inappropriate. Like he's just comfortable saying things that, I don't necessarily want to hear, but he also is incredibly, incredibly smart. Like the breadth of knowledge he has around the things that the people he interviews. So the people he interviews, they're an expert in the space, and he seems to hold his own in the conversation. So, Bill Gates, their conversation was amazing. To Macklemore was the last one I listened to. And it's like a different angle. So you really get to kind of know the characters. And I like that. I like there's nothing that would be punishment for my husband because he wants to learn something, but not about people. And my podcast, I want to learn about people. And like, if you taught me how to do something on a podcast and I'd be either driving or walking and couldn't write it down, it'd be gone.
Yeah.
Like I need to be taking notes, and Dan could listen. Dan, I have Dan and a few other kids who could sit in a lecture and that was the learning moment for them. And for me, that was like the prelude to the learning. Like that's where you took the notes and then you went and learned it somewhere else. So it would make sense that he would enjoy that as a podcast and I would not.
Yeah. I did look up the last one, This American Life, which I've been listening to forever. I love that.
I think NPR is going to be a subscription model. I think I read that.
that.
Yeah.
Well, I think a lot of, wait a minute, yes. And now this whole podcasting model about like paying an annual subscription for podcasts. Did you see that? Like collectively, I meant to send that to you the other day. We're talking like no one else is listening to us, which could be true. But
that might be the funniest comment today.
Yes. So that's interesting. Yeah, I do love, and I love, StoryCorps. I'm always listening to those. It's funny when you just said short stories, Sue, it reminded me that would have been a really good strategy for me during the pandemic. So I am not suggesting that I want the pandemic to keep going, but what I am suggesting is I wish I'd thought of that earlier in the pandemic, because my attention span is so short that would have been a very good, back to your word of intentional about Dick Shepherd, that would have been a very good intentional strategy for me with short stories, because I didn't have the attention span.
Well, you could still do that. Like if you're, yeah, I think very few of us have corrected from where we were during the pandemic. I think that's going to take a little while. So if it's hard to focus,
we still have time.
Yeah. I mean, just in general, I think most of us have a hard time focusing right now. So like, I have a hard time with short stories because it takes me a long time to get into a book. And then I'm sad when it's over. And short stories, I've finally figured out all the characters and how they're interwoven. And I'm excited to see what happens, and it's over. And then I have to do that same exercise immediately on the next short story. So it doesn't, it probably aligns with my attention span, but not as well with my, like the effort to, some people love starting a new book. I love being in a book. Much more than I like when I can't wait to get back to my friends, but they aren't my friends in the beginning. So it takes me a little bit of time, and the short story counts on you kind of jumping in right away.
Yeah, that's a fair point. It's funny, Todd, when you're talking about endings, like Todd always says to me, like, I don't like the ending to any book because I either don't like the ending or I'm so sad it's done. And then I like start like something I'm really enjoying. Then I'm like, oh no, because I know what's going to happen. Because it's going to end. And so then I start slowing myself down because I'm so sad when it's over.
Wait, that's what Todd says, or that's you?
Todd says, no, it's me. He's right. That's his observation, is that there is no ending I'm satisfied with, because I'm either not satisfied with the ending or I'm not satisfied because it's over. So by definition.
I think that's the torture of a series also. Like there was this series that I watched. I don't even know when it was. Oh, I do. Because I finished it on a drive to Connecticut. So it was like 2 summers ago. And it's Wonderland. And it's like a combination of Friends and Sex and the City. So if you like both of those shows, and really they become your friend. Well, it's so embarrassing because we drove from here to a wedding in Connecticut, and I kept seeing people from the TV show there.
Oh my God.
They were my friends. I had integrated them. They had crossed over the line, and they were part of my, and because it was I think like a 10-hour drive or something. So for 10 hours, I sat in the passenger seat and just had a relationship with these characters. And I got out of the car and I was like, oh, that was a fictional TV character.
This is a common experience, because I feel like you and I are very well aligned on, we're not necessarily aligned on the books we like, but we're very aligned on the experience of books. Is that like, if you just love reading and love books, like, is this like a conversation a lot of people have? Like, they hate it. Do you hate endings of books? Like, but like when
I think that, it's really hard to end a TV series, and it's really hard to end a book. I think that they are like super talented people, do a great job of an ending, and then I don't mind it. And also, I mean, I've been in this book club for 30 years. And so there's always, I often only read the one book for book club a month. So I know that there's a delicious conversation about to happen. And so actually, even when I don't love the book, I leave book club loving the book more than I loved it before, because there's 4 different perspectives on this story. And we all kind of go like, oh, I hadn't thought of that, So, there's like a next stage for me.
So, okay, here's a topic, not next week, the following week.
Okay.
I'm gonna put it on my calendar.
Okay.
What series do you think ended well. I know mine. I'm not saying it now. You're gonna have to wait 2 weeks to hear it. But what do you think was masterful in any series you've watched your whole life? That's the topic.
Okay.
Do you know what your answer is going to be?
No, I don't have an answer, but I have other people's answers, so I can share those.
Okay.
I don't think I don't actually, like, you retain media, TV and movies more than I do.
Which is the funniest thing, because I have a group of friends who think I've never seen the end of a movie because I fall asleep.
No, but you remember lines from them, and maybe they happen afterwards when you're.
Yeah.
But so the fact that I could pull up the name Wonderland was super exciting for me, because I felt like I'm going to start telling this story and I'm not going to know the name, but it just kind of popped into my old brain. So I was really, I mean, that's really exciting for me today. I'm going to get up and feel very victorious. Yeah, like it was really, really a big deal. Okay, nobody put in any of theirs, so I hope we gave all of you enough to keep you busy for a little bit, and you can add it afterwards. The conversation continues after we say goodbye to all of you. So have a great weekend, everybody.
Bye, guys.
Stephanie, we'll see you next week.
I will.